going on, guys? Connor Hansen from Performance Training here with
Adam Cook.
So we thought we had some time. We thought we'd do a video, and to kind of make it random, just kind of off the cuff, we pulled open T Nation. T Nation stands for Testosterone Nation, if you don't know, and it has a lot of really good articles. Most of which are, and I won't say all, most of which are written by like PhDs, or at least people that have like their master's degree in this sport that we love. Or this lifestyle.
What sport is that?
Mine was bodybuilding.
Gotcha.
But they also have like sports training and plyos and fitness. They have so many things, and they have forums and things like. I wouldn't read the forums though. The forums are crap.
Well, and I stay away from a lot of sites like that. Your bodybuilding.com, but
Right.
I've read a lot on T Nation. Never like this guy's an idiot.
Right.
They're
Yeah, they always will tell you, okay, I know this, or I'm citing, and they'll tell you what study or what group or whatever went through this. So we're gonna get random. We're just gonna click here. We're gonna go articles, and the first thing that comes up is build more strength with pull-ups and dips. So let's chat about pull-ups and dips. I'm not one to do a whole lot of dips, only because I saw a guy tear his rotator cuff and his shoulder with. Obviously, he was stacking on 45s on his lap while he was doing behind the head or the back dips. So since then, I've been kind of not worried, but like I don't do them a whole lot. But let me tell you, what's your take on dips?
Pull-ups and dips. I used to do a superset on those, and I called it the man maker.
Oh, the man maker. Okay.
You're working body weight.
Right.
A lot of girls out there can't do pull-ups, so get a band or have somebody assist you. If you really maximize how much work you're putting in, and you don't make it easy, keep your reps low. If you can't do a pull-up, use an assistance and keep your reps low. I can build strength.
Yeah, and I love that both those movements are compound movements, but I feel like sometimes people will turn at least dips into more of an isolation. Like they got those machines, those dip machines that really it's just like a tricep press.
Sure. That I'm guilty of using that one.
Are you?
It's one of the few machines
you actually get onto. Okay.
Yeah, because you're still using both.
Are you?
Joints, when you think about it, your shoulder and your elbow are still going.
Yeah.
And you can, if you're doing it for the pump, right?
The pump chasers.
Isolate it a little bit better, because if you're going body weight or with added weight on parallel bars, they can, if it's towards the end of a workout, man, it's tough to do.
It can be a burner. Yeah. I love, one of my favorite back exercises, pull-ups though. And sometimes I get into a rut where I do strictly lat pull downs for like a month. I'm like, freak, I gotta get back into pull-ups. Yeah. And so sometimes I have to throw in a band, especially if I'm trying to hit higher sets, but then move down into, just strictly body weight, or once I start doing 4 to 8 sets or reps, throw in like a 25 or a 45 and grind them out.
Sure. And that's something I've been focused on my pull-ups lately, is at the bottom.
Yeah.
Full extension, letting the shoulders shrug. Yeah. And I've been noticing my lats are a lot more sore.
Okay.
Something in that.
Something, right.
Very sore.
So you let yourself really go all the way down and then retract. And I feel like you have to do that to get, most people's lower traps are underdeveloped. And I think that's one of the reasons, is because most people don't go all the way down on their pull-ups or their lat pull-downs and that sort of thing. The short range. And so that muscle, the scapula, as it sits on your back, instead of being, nice and tucked when they're pulling, it just like sits up and out. So.
Quit cheating yourself.
Yeah.
Full range
of motion on your pull-ups and your dips. What do you think a good rep range should be on those?
Man, if you, like I said, if you can't do a pull-up, then I would work in that 5 rep range.
Cool.
With some assistance. Obviously, you could jump on a pull down machine. But if you want to be able to do a pull up and you sit on a pull down machine,
it's not going to work out for you.
Build that strength.
And there's something different mentally that, I'm pulling this weight down towards me, versus like it's just me versus gravity. It's my body weight. I'm pulling it up.
And we're primates, man. We're built to hang on a bar. So if you can't do a pull up, just hang. on a bar. It's a workout.
Yeah, it really is. With pull-ups, I think your grip does matter a decent amount. So I found that the hardest is a little bit wider with your hands overhand, so your palms facing away from you. And then the closer you go, I feel like it's a little bit easier because it engages more of your arms. And then if you flip your grip to palms facing, it's the easiest.
More bicep. I'd agree.
So if you need to start, closer grip, palms facing you, and pound out a couple, and then as you get better, get your hands a little bit further because that engages more back, and then once you get real brave, flip that grip.
I like to, if you can't do them well, find somewhere where you can touch the ground with your feet, and cheat a little bit, and then just really own the negative portion on the way down.
It's
a good way to build it up.
You can build a good amount of strength that way.
Dips, though, man, that's a little bit tougher to find a regression for. The behind the back, I avoided those for a long time. I didn't program them in for a long time. It takes a lot of shoulder mobility to do properly.
Somebody that, if you go from a desk job to trying to pound out dips, your shoulders are going to get torn up.
If your shoulder deviates forward, you get that really awkward position.
Posture.
Don't do those.
You need to be able to keep that shoulder blade, back and down tucked. And if you don't have the mobility in your chest and in your lats, because people think that the lats, pull. I mean, they do pull your arm this way, but they also internally rotate your arm, and so they'll pull you into this position too. And so I think you need to have a good amount of lat and chest mobility to be able to hit those
definitely. And pull-ups even, honestly, too. You'll see a lot of that forward shoulder deviation on people doing pull-downs. You're never going to get stronger if you do that because you're not working the right muscles. You're just stressing your joints.
And that kind of brings us into mobility and the importance on, because everybody wants, especially people that come to me and they say, I want to lose X amount of weight, I want to be able to bench this much, blah blah blah. Okay, but I can't work with you if you can't
function.
If you can't function, if you can't put your palm, the back of your palms and your elbows on a wall and press it straight up without pain. You're doing that and it's hurting you because you're so tight here. We got to start there before we can even, get you to be working out super intensely. We can obviously manipulate your diet a little bit, but mobility in the form of, how it's going to help your workouts is it's priceless.
Well, if you don't have the mobility to execute it properly, and you're doing 10 reps or something and 3-4, you're just wearing that down. You do all these repetitions. So if you can't do what he's talking about, definitely don't go to CrossFit. CrossFit. I had to throw that.
I know you got. I think that CrossFit athletes, they're incredible. They are phenomenal athletes. The ones that make it to the games.
Oh yeah.
But there's this, you take 30 people, some of which, that are all in different varieties of, weight, lifting ability, cardiovascular ability. I've opened a
can of worms here. Go for it.
So you take all of these, and I'm going to state facts, right? I'm trying to be as biased as possible.
Unbiased.
Oh, is that what I said?
You said biased.
Biased. Unbiased as possible.
He's biased.
So they take these, let's say 30 individuals that are in a class, and some have had experience weightlifting, some haven't. Some people are just starting out, some people are really advanced, and they're different weight abilities, they're different weights, body weights, everything. And then they'll say, okay, now we're going to take an Olympic move, a power move that should be, 5 reps maybe, and they're going to say we're going to do 45 of them for time. And okay, you're a 120-pound female that's never lifted before. Well, you're a girl, so you're going to do it at 135 or you're going to do it at 115 or whatever. It's the programming isn't super solid to be individualized. And then you got like one trainer there for these 30 people.
And we're generalizing. Maybe every gym's not that way, but CrossFit in general has no programming.
Right.
There's no linear progression. There's nothing. There's no, like you said,
it's got to be random. It's crazy.
So the principles are good if you know how to move right. There's some different. You can't argue with the results some people get, but
they get jacked.
Sure.
But I think if you have like a solid 2 or 3 years of lifting under your belt, and you've done Olympic weightlifting and some solid compound movements, correct form on snatch, on deadlift, on cleans, on jerks, those mechanics, I think CrossFit can be a great thing for you. And especially the how it's random each time. I think, and the community, and so it can be a really great thing. But for beginners, it's the worst thing ever. You hear these horror stories that, you know, they go and they have to run a mile and then do all these squats and all these cleans and all these presses, and it's just like, holy cow, you're gonna die.
Let's pull it back. Let's come full circle to the pull-ups, right? So I hear a lot of people talk crap on the CrossFit pull-up,
The
right?
kipping,
the butterfly.
Yeah.
That's not doing anything. Yeah, go try it.
It's hard.
Yeah, and talk about
it's cardio.
Shoulder range of motion, right?
But you need the shoulder range of motion. If you don't have it, it's gonna mess you up,
tear you up. So if you can do those, I mean, go for it, whatever. Yeah. But you got to understand what you're training, right? That's power. That's speed when you're training something like that. A strict pull-up, one's not right or wrong, but you got to look at what your goals are. So if you're trying to build muscle, those strict pull-ups, strict pull-downs, those are going to build those muscles, right? If you're looking for power and being able to yank on something really hard, then you can try to learn kipping, but definitely start with the strict.
And I was talking to a CrossFitter once, and he's like, we talked about the pull-ups, you know, because that's the big, everybody talks. And like, honestly, if they called it something totally different, I don't think people would have a problem with it. It's just the name pull-up. They're like, oh, it's not, you know, you're not working. If they called it like cardio kipping or, you know, kipping or something like that, I think it would change how people feel about it. But
what about on dips?
Yeah.
What variations do you like?
I think if you're going to do a dip, one, make sure that you lacrosse ball or foam roll your chest. That's first off. If you have a tight chest, you're not going to be able to get into a good range of motion where you can actually work that. I really like going between two benches if you're going to do it, or having your hands at your side. I wouldn't go any further, you know, doing those dips with your hands clear back here.
Yeah.
You're just asking to
two benches. Hurt. That's a good idea. I've never done that.
Yeah, it actually came from my sister, Megan Hansen. If you're watching, shout out to you.
Nice.
She works out at my parents' like little, you know, 10 foot by 10 foot place. That's some benches. And
so kind of, we've kind of hit the basics, you know, how to get into these movements and stuff. But let's talk advanced then. So that was kind of the man maker that I started with, right? The superset between the two. And I would try to vary, you know, really strict, really slow movements. And then I would try to do power and explosive too. Like if you have the capacity to do some speed dips, man, that will pump up the triceps pretty quick. So
I'll give you a real good pump. But I think I already mentioned, I love that they're both just compound movements. And especially as a bodybuilder, I get really into the isolation moves. I love the pump. And sometimes I neglect the compound movements. And I think I'm definitely guilty of that. But
those are antagonist movements? I don't know.
Yeah, antagonist.
Right,
they go up against
and they're almost the exact opposite. I think
Yeah.
that I saw just on Instagram maybe today. Strange, right?
It's fate.
I mean, it's like the opposite. It's complete opposite. So you're pulling up, and then you're pushing down.
Totally.
So you have these complete opposite movements.
And I think, and there's a theory of training where you train antagonist movements together, so that, because there's a theory out there, and I would subscribe to it, that let's say when you're pressing, you know, the back side of you is stabilizing, you know, and when you're pulling, the front side of you is stabilizing a little bit. And so you really can't isolate only your chest without, you know, because when you're bench pressing, what are you told to do? Kind of put your shoulder blades in your back pocket, and, you know, squeeze them together, throw them into the bench. So your back is working. Same thing with, you know, dips. You're dipping, but your back is stabilizing. Your rhomboids are stabilizing your shoulder blades, and so they're what's the word you used? Antagonists. They're antagonists, but they kind of work synergistically in when you're working them out.
Your body is all the same piece, right? Same piece of machinery.
Yeah.
There really is no isolation.
So that's awesome. If you have any thoughts or comments on pull-ups, dips, CrossFit, mobility, some of the things that
we know all about CrossFit.
Oh, yeah. Shoot us a comment in the comment section down below, and hit us up on Instagram, Performance Training Utah, and I think that's our Facebook thing as well. So, and the YouTube is all good stuff.
If you want to hear us riff on anything else too, let us know.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, do all those great things that help out the channel, and we'll check you next time.